guys, welcome back to my channel if you have been here before, and if you haven't been here before, a massive welcome to my channel. Depending on when you are watching this video, we might still be in the midst of the coronavirus situation, or maybe it's over and you've decided to join in afterwards. But we are currently in the thicket of half the world being in isolation, and I thought, as a nail technician who is starting to pull my hair out because I can't do any work, I thought I might do something that might help you guys stop yourself from going insane. A lot of people are using this time to learn a new skill, and if hand-painted nail art is something that you have always wanted to learn how to do, now is the perfect time to do it. So, welcome to your 30-day Disney Nail Art Challenge. So I have created this for you guys to try and stop you from going insane, to give you something to do, and to help you learn a new skill while we are all stuck at home. Any of you guys who have been part of my Disney nail art programs will have seen these tutorials before, but if you are new or maybe you would like to refresh on them, what I have done is I have broken my 4, 5, 6 hour long video tutorials down into one character per session. So I have set this as a 30-day challenge, but if the situation remains as it stands at the moment for longer than that, I do have over 80 characters recorded and tutorials for each of them, and I will continue to upload these videos on a daily basis until we are sent back to work. The aim of this challenge is for you to push yourself out of your comfort zone. I want you to be nervous, I want you to be scared, I want you to be excited, and I want in 30 days times for your art to be amazing and to be so much better than it is right now. The only way to achieve that is to start doing it, and that is what we are going to do. We are going to start off with super simple, easy techniques, and I am going to help you learn how to become a pro at hand-painted Disney nail art, or hand-painted nail art in general, as a lot of these techniques can be portrayed into different things like flowers, snowflakes, whatever it is that you want to do. I promise you that if you follow these guidelines in 30 days time, you will see a massive improvement in your miniature painting skills. Trust me, I have seen some of my students come into my courses and be like, oh my god, I will never ever be able to do that. And by the time they have finished their program, they are spitting out Disney characters and other characters left, right and center that are absolutely stunning, absolutely amazing, and so much more than they ever thought they would be able to achieve. Also, please feel free to join my Facebook group, where on a daily basis as the video goes up, I will be uploading picture step-by-steps of each of the designs as well. So if you are someone who prefers to look at a picture when you're working rather than looking at a video, there is going to be picture step-by-steps for each of the designs in the Facebook group. There is a link in the description of this video for joining that group. It is a safe place. I would absolutely love for you guys to share your work in there. Even if you're looking at it, you're like, oh my god, that's not as good as somebody else's work that they've shared in the group. It doesn't matter. Share it in the group so that you can look back in a couple of weeks' time and go, oh my god, look at my improvement. I want to see your work. I want to be able to help you, and I can't do that if you don't share your work with me. The group is a safe place. Anybody who I see being is going to get an immediate ban from the group, and they will be removed and they will not be let back into the group. So please do not join the group if you are going to be a... Also guys, if you are sharing your work on social media, please use the hashtag Disney Nail Art Challenge. I would love to see how far we can spread this challenge and how many nail techs we can help out. So that is hashtag Disney Nail Art Challenge for any social media posts that you guys are going to be sharing. So, moving on. I am going to give you as much advice and as much detail in each of these videos as I physically can, but you are still going to have questions, and please don't be afraid to ask them. You can drop them in the comments section on this video, or you can ask them in the social media groups, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If it means redoing a video or doing some more videos for you guys, I can absolutely do that. Just let me know. Hit me with your questions as often as you can. No question is ever a stupid question, and they will all get replied to. Also, one last thing, each of your intro videos for each of your daily challenges is not going to be this long. This is the most important video out of the whole series because we are going to go through the techniques that you need to learn in order to proceed with the rest of the course. You do not need to watch me buffing a nail 80 times over the next couple of weeks. So we are going to do that once. We are going to do it today, and there is going to be other things that only get done in today's video. So it is really important that you start with today's video and then move on. Ideally, you want to go step by step, day by day, but if you're looking at a video and you're like, yeah, I'm already able to do that, or I can totally do that, then skip ahead, move on to a more challenging video. That's absolutely fine. Again, ideally, go day by day as we release the tutorials, but if you want to skip through, absolutely fine. But please watch today's video. It is important. It does have a few little tips and advice that are not going to be repeated in other videos because you guys don't need to hear me repeat myself over and over again. And I also don't need to hear myself repeat myself over and over again. It's bad enough I gotta listen to my voice when I'm editing the video. So without further ado, this is going to be the longest intro that you have to listen to, so let's get started, let's get into it, and good luck! Okay guys, so what you want to start off with are 2 to 3 coats of your chosen colour in whatever brand gel polish you want to use. You also want to apply your top coat and you want to make sure every layer is cured as you're painting. There's no need to double top coat as another layer top coat will be applied later on. Just make sure everything is completely cured and you've wiped off your sticky layer. Then you are going to take your light buffer, around a 240 grit buffer should be fine for this, and you want to remove the shiny layer off the top of the nail. And the reason we do that is so that the paint can stick to the nail easier because there's little scratches in there. If you apply your paint directly onto the shiny surface without buffing, sometimes when you go to top coat at the very end, you can literally wipe your design off with your paintbrush, which is a major pain in the ass when you have spent ages working on your design. Okay guys, so what I have in front of me here is a little paint tray. It's just a little plastic tub that I got from the pound shop. Inside there is a damp sponge that is going to keep my paint nice and moist. I've got a normal piece of A4 paper on top that I'm applying my paint to, and I've got a glass of water over to the side that I'm going to use to clean my brush. So we are going to start off with making up our skin color. So we want an even amount of white and yellow and a tiny little hint of red. The paints that I am using here are called Orgasmic Acrylic Paints. I can't find a link to them, but I have linked a different brand that should be a really good quality paint in the description of the video if anyone wants to check it out or if you're not sure what paint to buy. It is just acrylic paint though, so any acrylic paint that you have will do the same job. You just want a highly pigmented acrylic paint. The more pigment in your paint, the easier your job is going to become. So I have mixed the 3 colours that we talked about together, and the first mix is a little bit too yellow for me, so I want to add a little bit of white just to make it a little bit lighter. So you can see here that I am just mixing a little bit more white in, and then I'm going to test it on the back of my hand and compare it to my previous mix. So on the back of my hand there you can see the new mix is slightly paler and it's a little bit of a better colour for our Mickey Mouse's face. So once you have your colour mixed up, you want to mix in a little bit of water. What the water does is it helps to keep the paint damp and it keeps it flowing really nicely. If you don't add any water, your paint's going to dry out really quickly and it's going to be really difficult to paint with. So you don't want to make your paint runny by adding too much water, but you also don't want it to dry out really quickly or to be difficult to paint with. So add a little bit of water. So we're going to get started then with our easy Mickey Mouse. And we are going to start off by painting the outline of his head. So we are essentially painting 2 circles on the nail, or 2 half circles. So you want to start about halfway up the nail for the main part of his head. And we're going to paint around in a circle. Take your time when you're doing this. Please don't feel like you need to rush. The more time you take, the more perfect your design is going to be at the end. Most of these designs are just made up of different shapes piled on top of each other, so I promise you by the end of this session you will be able to paint Mickey Mouse. Once you've got your first circle on there, we are going to draw another smaller circle down the bottom of the nail. It looks a little bit like a bum. And then you are going to colour them in. So while I'm colouring this in, I want to talk to you about something that I would like you to do during your sessions. I would like you to do each of these designs 3 times. from start to finish. So please don't do 3 heads, then 3 noses, then 3 outlines. I want you to do start to finish 3 of each of these nails, each of these characters, every time you do one. So get one nail out, get it painted, get it ready, do your Mickey Mouse. Then do the same thing on the second one and the same on the third. And I promise you, by the time you do your third one, you will already see a difference in how good your Mickey Mouse is turning out. When you're working with acrylic paint, you will always see brush strokes in your work until you top coat. So don't worry if you can see brush strokes, they will disappear once you top coat. And also guys, I should have mentioned that you can do this with gel polish paints or gel paints, whatever you want to do. I just prefer working with acrylic paints, but you can work with whatever painting medium you want to. Okay, so it is important to make sure that you allow your paint to dry between each layer, and what we are moving on to now is our second layer on Mickey's face. So you want to give your nails a couple of seconds to dry between each layer. You can tap it with the tip of your finger to make sure it is totally dry before adding another layer, because if you start to add more layer before the previous layer is finished drying, all that's going to happen is you are going to pull your paint back off the nail. You can see that I'm flicking the nail or the brush back and forward, and that just gives nice even coverage on the nail for me. And again, once you have this layer done, you want to allow it to dry. If at all possible, when working on clients, you want to try and be doing 2 Disney characters at a time, so 1 on each hand if possible, so that you can be working backwards and forwards on the nail to allow each one to dry, so you're not just sitting waiting for paint to dry. So we are going to move on now. We need a little bit of black and we need a little bit of white, and you can see that I'm squeezing them onto the damp patches of my paper inside my tray. And you want to just make sure you are cleaning your brush in between each section as well, just with water. You don't need to use anything fancy to clean your brushes with. On the subject of brushes, I just use brushes from my local art and hobby shop. I use the tiniest brushes that I can get, and I snip out some extra bristles as well so that the brushes are really tiny. Now obviously I can't link you to my local art and hobby store, so I have popped a link in the description of a set of brushes that I think would suit well for the work that you are going to be doing. The smaller the brush you use, the more fine detail you'll be able to get in your designs, and the more brush control you will have. I generally hold my brush like I hold a pencil, but I have been told that I hold pencils weird. So the angle that you can see my hand at and where all my fingers are exactly the same way that I hold my pencils. So when you are painting his eyes, you are going to take white and you are going to draw 2 eggs. So this is our first one. He is looking sideways, so the second eye does need to be slightly lower and slightly bigger, just for perspective. So that's our first eye painted in, and you want to draw your second one now. Again, slightly lower and slightly bigger. It also alleviates the pressure of trying to do things exactly the same. Once you have your eyes on, you want to make sure that you completely let them dry before you move on to putting any more colors or any more paint anywhere near where they are. Okay, so once you have that done, you want to pull out some of your black paint because we are going to need it for the outline. So when you are drawing the outline, you want to take your time. Please don't rush your outline. The more time you spend doing this, the better your design is going to look at the very end. Your outline really makes your piece stand out, so please take your time when you are doing any outlining work. Now, because your color is already there, for your outline, you are literally just following what you already have painted. So we are going to start at the very top of Mickey's head, and we are going to start to work our way down the front. Again, please take your time. You can see I am doing this really slowly. So we're going to stop there for a second and we're going to move on to his nose. His nose starts underneath his second eye and slightly overlaps the bottom of his first eye. Now you don't want to be able to see white underneath the black, but it's just to show that it does kind of overlap the other eye because the other eye is behind his nose. And then you're going to drag the black line for his head down to meet his nose. Now, once you have that done, we are going to move on to his nose, the actual tip of his nose. You want to draw another egg at the very tip of his nose, or the very tip of his snout, for his actual nose. And once you've got that drawn, you are going to colour it in. Then we are going to move on to the rest of his face because we know this is not the right colour for Mickey Mouse. His face is more black than skin colour. So we are going to start by drawing kind of like a half a heart shape just over his eyes. That's one half of the heart shape. You can see the heart shape on the little sneak peek at the next tutorial on the other nail. And you want to fill that heart shape in at the very top. And then once you have that done, you are going to drag it around almost all the way down to the nose area, but they do not touch. There is a gap between his kind of sideburn and the nose. And flick it back out then. So it's kind of like a little triangle. And then you're going to colour that in. Be really careful when you're doing this that you don't touch off any area that you've already painted. There is no worse feeling than when you have painted somewhere and everything's looking great, and then you look down and you've poked your pinky finger that's used doing all your balancing into a wet blob of paint and you've just smudged your entire design. Which, for the record, I have done too many times to even count. And we're finishing colouring that in. Okay. Now, once you've got that done, we are going to move on to his ear. So for his ear, all you are doing is you are drawing a ball on the top of his head. So for this design in particular, you can only see one of his ears and you can only see half of that ear. So you are just drawing a round ball, or half of a round ball, on the top of his head, and you're going to colour it in. And once that's done, which was a nice, quick, easy and simple step, we are going to move on to his smile. So obviously Mickey Mouse does want to look like he's happy. So we are going to draw a little half moon just to indicate the curve in his cheek to show that he is smiling. And then we're going to draw kind of like a comma underneath that's curved upward slightly to show off his super duper little smile. So all we have to do now is outline his eyes and give him little pupils. So we are going to start to outline around the white that is now fully dry. Acrylic paint does not take long to dry. You just want to make sure that you have checked to make sure it is dry before you start going in with more colour. And also remember that acrylic paint is easy to fix mistakes with if you make any. All you got to do is make sure the area is dry, pick up a little bit of the under colour. So what I mean by that is what we are doing right now is we are painting a black outline around his eye. If I was to make a mistake here, I am just going to quickly demonstrate what I would do to fix it. So we've painted our black outline around it, but if you're looking at an area and you're like, I'm not quite happy with that, you're going to take a little bit of white, which is the colour underneath, and you are going to touch up your black outline and cover it up anywhere where you are not happy with how thick your line is, or maybe you've wiggled, or maybe there's a dog in the room behind you that has barked when you started to paint. And you're literally just going to touch up the area, making sure there's no fluff or anything on your brush. So you can do this with any color. It might take, depending on the color, it might take 2 or 3 little layers of waiting for it to dry before it's totally covered up. But generally 1 layer is absolutely fine, and that's all it needs. And we are going to do the outline then for his second eye. So we are doing the exact same thing again. You are just going to outline his eye, which does touch off the tip of the nose. Or the line for the nose, I should say. I'm going to draw him around on both sides. And once you are happy with both of your eyes, we are going to go back to our egg shape again. And you are going to draw 2 little eggs over the same side of each of the eyes. So that he's kind of looking over his shoulder a little bit, or looking over towards the side of your nail. So 2 little egg shapes. So you can see we got a lot of round shapes and a lot of eggs in this one. Nothing too difficult. You're going to paint them in. And you are going to make sure he is completely dry before you do anything else, because our next step is top coat. And if you don't wait for him to be dry when you apply your top coat, you are going to smudge him all over the nail and ruin your look, and you're going to be sad, and your client's going to be sad, and I'm going to be sad. Once you are sure that it is completely dry, you are going to apply your layer top coat, making sure to seal in your entire design. If you miss anywhere when you wipe away your sticky layer at the end, you are going to wipe your design away. So top coat, cure, and wipe. And that is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed your first Disney challenge. So we have just completed day 1. Please pop in tomorrow for day 2, and if you've got any questions at all, pop them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to watch some more, please hit that subscribe button. It would really help me with my YouTube channel, and I would love you forever and really appreciate it. So thank you for joining me. I have popped all the links that we talked about in the description below. Again, if you've any questions, please don't be afraid to hit me up, ask. Join our Facebook group, and I will see you all tomorrow for Mickey Mouse number 2, which is a slightly harder Mickey Mouse than Mickey Mouse's today. You did see a cute little preview of him right at the end of the video there. So I will check you all tomorrow. Thanks guys, and goodbye.